Saturday, March 22nd, 1:16 p.m. New York time. Welcome back, investors, to Winning Wall Street's Money. Going to do a review of the Dow Jones Industrial Average stock index and the 30 stocks in the index. Give you some insight if you're not situation aware. This past Wednesday in the United States, the Federal Reserve voted and they left the interest rates unchanged. We also are nearing the end of the month of March. That means the first quarter of the year will be complete. And next month, the companies will release their stock earnings, public information to the SEC. But understand, the third month is a quarter performance, very important. You take those 3 months, and then information is compared to the first 3 months of last year. That would be data that would be released later. What I'm about to show you is the stock charts to identify who the losers are, who's selling, who's bailing out of what positions, and who's buying the winners. So you have insight before that public information is shared. This is not inside information. It's public information because we're going to look at charts. That being said, if you want early access to this video, the link's below. My Patreon page. This is the stock index called the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's very diversified. It's the largest publicly traded companies in the United States. When it originally started a long time ago, it had less than 30 companies. So right now it's 30 companies. You could trade it as a stock. The stock symbol is DIA. But what we have here is the futures I'm looking at. 20-year chart. Each candle's a month. And obviously the current month, we're not done yet. So that means that candle's not done yet. But look here, 20 years of history. The bottom left, the subprime mortgage meltdown. The real estate bubble. And then look here, closer to the far right bottom. That virus incident. And look now on the top right. I'm going to zoom in here. The top right. The high, the all-time high, was last year. Last year. We have not tested that yet, nor broke it. So when we look at the 30 companies inside this index, this is a watch list on the left. They're alphabetical order, the 30 companies in this stock index. We're going to compare those to this index, see which ones are performing better. Again, you have the opportunity to buy the stock index as well as the individual stocks. The stock index has more history than these individual companies. And this stock index does get adjusted periodically. The company that manages it takes out companies and replaces it with other ones. And I will show you the ones, the most recent that were replaced on here. Give you some insight. You might have heard of a company called AT&T. You might have heard of a company called Walgreens. They used to be on a stock index. They got removed. And they got replaced with other companies. So again, looking at the stock index, this month of March, we made a new low for the year. Yep, we're still below the high of last year. We have not tested or broken the high I mentioned of last year. So this index, new low for the year. Now we'll compare the individual companies. Apple, also top right. The all-time high was last year, and this month made a new low for the year. It is not performing better than the stock index. So you can say the word loser in Apple. Next, again, the stock symbol is here in white letters in parentheses. That's the stock symbol. The last price is up here, top left, the white. That's here on the watch list. Well, we are still below the highs of last year. See on the top right? Yeah, below the highs of last year. But for the year, we made a new high this month. That's interesting. That's good. It made a new high for the year. compared to the index. But again, they both have in common, they have not taken out the highs of last year, 2024. Amazon. Have you heard of them? Well, I mentioned momentarily ago, some companies were removed from the stock index and some were re-added. Amazon, see this orange vertical line? That was the month it was added to this index. This year made the all-time high. Outstanding. It made an all-time new high, performing better than the other ones I showed you. This month made a new low for the year. American Express financials. Yep. Also, this year, it made an all-time new high. Yep, took out the high of last year, all-time new high this year. Currently this month, new low for the year. So right off the bat, we know this one made an all-time new high this year compared to the other ones, compared to the index. And the worst case scenario is it made a new low for the year. American Express financials. That sector, financials. I have a video I shared the past few days of the stock sectors inside the S&P 500 and the best stock sectors. I would recommend you watch that and see where the best stock sectors are so you can outperform this index. Next, Boeing. Look at the 20 years. Wow. Here's the high, 2019. Here's the low, bottom left, 2009. Okay, we are way below the high up top here. Way below the high. 2019 was the high. Wow, way below it. Disappointing. Yep. Here's the high, 2025 this year. And this month made a new low. Very disappointing. Past day, the executive branch of the United States, if you don't know what that is, the executive branch of the United States, if you don't know what that is, I could say shame on you. That's the president of the United States. Came out, made a public statement, shared who got the reward, the contract for the new United States future fighter aircraft for the U.S. Air Force. There were several companies that competed for it, and the contract went to Boeing. This was Friday news. Friday news. So again, this candle, big difference. How it was earlier in the day and how it reversed. I say, let's have some investigation and check the staff members and their family members and their friends in the current Oval Office, see who traded prior to that press release of Boeing and see how they traded either the derivatives or the equity. And maybe they already closed their positions or they're closing on Monday. Inside information. Good luck on that happening. Yeah, who's policing the police? Wow. Caterpillar. Well, last year made the all-time high. This month made a new low for the year. Disappointing. Salesforce. Also, last year was the all-time high. This month was the new low. You got it? You seen something here, a pattern? Most of them have not even taken out the highs of last year. Most of them made new lows for the year. Cisco Systems. This year made a new high for the year. And we still haven't taken out the low of this year yet. Interesting. That's part of technology. Interesting. Chevron. Yeah, way below the highs. The high was here, top left, 2022. So this year, it made a new high for the year, right here, but still below the highs of last year and the prior years. It's performing worse than the index. Disney. Wow, look at this, top right. There was the high, 2021. Very disappointing. And this year, made a new low for the year. Goldman Sachs. It's part of the financial sector. Look at that, new high for the year. They made, as well this month, new low for the year. Home Depot. Last year was a high, all-time high. This month, new low for the year. Disappointing. Honeywell, also last year was the new high for the year. Last year was the all-time new high. The current month, see this yellow candle? When I have yellow candles, I have it programmed on my computer to let me know that didn't take out the high nor the low of the prime candle. It's called inside candle, inside range. Again, it has not taken out the high or low of the prior candle, which happens to be here monthly. Again, way below the highs. IBM, impressive. IBM, really? All-time new high. Look at this, all-time new high. I wonder if it's government contracts they're getting. Wow. Interesting. All-time new high, IBM. Impressive. Old school. Johnson & Johnson. There's a high, 2022. There you go, 2022. And this month, see this red candle? We broke above the high of last year. Outstanding. Broke above the high of last year to make a new high this year. Let's remove this. Let's update this. Outstanding, new high for the year. Still way below the all-time highs. Again, that's very impressive. All-time new high for the year. Versus the other ones, not even making all-time new lows for the year. Again, still way below the all-time highs. I'm sorry, let me say that again. For the year, it made a new all-time high for the year, which is better than the other ones making new lows of the year. But for the all-time high, it's way below. JP Morgan, another financial. Last month, all-time high for the year. This month, new low for the year. Look at those financials. Wow. The financials, the banks, the insurance, the brokerage houses. Yep. Smart money apparently going to certain financial institutions. Coca-Cola, all-time high was last year, 2024. And for this year, we also made a new high for this year. Impressive. Coca-Cola. Are you a Pepsi or Coca-Cola person? McDonald's. Are you a Burger King or McDonald's or neither? Well, look at McDonald's. We took out the high of last year. Holy moly, we took out the high of last year and made a new high for this year. So let's get this straight. Coca-Cola and McDonald's, both making new highs, all-time new highs. Neither one is healthy. Not a healthy beverage, not a healthy diet. So that should also help the pharmaceutical companies and medical companies. Yep. Hey, there we go. Maybe that's because McDonald's changed off their surcharge they had for egg sandwiches. 3M. Here's the high, 2018. Wow. That was a long time ago. And this month made an all-time new high. Interesting. Merck. Wow, the high was all the way back there, 2024. And currently for this month, inside candle. Microsoft Technology. The high was last year. This year, we made a new low for the month. Disappointing. Nike Retail. There's a high 2021, and it made a new low for the year. So this is having a huge impact to hurt the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Again, here's the stock index, Dow Jones Industrial Average. This retail loser is not helping it. The past few years, it's been hurting. Again, contact the Dow Jones Industrial board members, ask them to remove this and put a winner on instead. Maybe you heard of this company, NVIDIA? Yeah. This year made the all-time high. This month, new low for the year. This orange vertical line is when they added it to the stock index. It's performing worse than the financials. Procter and Gamble. Wow. Old school company. Yep. We're below the highs of last year, but this year we made a new high. Sherwin-Williams Paint Company. They also were added recently to the stock index. See this orange vertical line? Yeah. Still below the highs of last year, so it hasn't broken the all-time high. And just shy of making a new low for the year. Yep. So the first month of this year was the low of the year, and we were very close to it. Disappointing. Travelers, another financial company. Last year was the all-time high. This year, did make a new high for this year. United Health. Last year was the high. Current month, inside candle. Visa, another financial company. This month, all-time new high. New high for the year, and all-time new high. Wow. Visa, part of financials, credit card. Are people carrying more debt? Are they keeping balances longer? Are they not paying their balances off full on their credit cards? Well, apparently, that's public information. They released that a few days ago. You can read it. Live within your means. Verizon. Here's the high, 2019. Look at the low all the way back down here on the left. And this month, we took out the high of last year, making a new high for this year. Do you use Verizon for your cell phone service? Who is your cell phone service? They're on the stock market, very likely. Not me. I don't use Verizon. I found one I'm happier with. Better service. Better fees. Lower fees. Yep. Again, new high for the year. Again, some of these telecommunications companies also made partnerships with cell phone companies, satellite companies. Retail, Walmart. Again, the keyword retail. A lot of retail closing. This year made the all-time new high. This month, new low for the year. So similar to the Dow Jones Index, new low for the year. But again, the better part is new high for the year. Yep. So again, this is the Dow Jones Industrial Average Stock Index. 20 years, monthly history. Versus the individual stocks on the left. And let's do this little bonus here. We're queuing Boeing here on the left. There we go. This is Boeing on the monthly. I'm going to change this now to a daily so you can see how it performed Friday. This is the daily. Again, here's the low for the year right there. Bottom right. And the top left, the high for the year. Look what happened Friday. Huge trading range. Past few days, moving up high. Again, I told you the big announcement came yesterday to the public. Insiders knew ahead of time. This is a 30-minute chart for the past 5 days. The gray areas are the extended hours, pre-market, aftermarket. So you can see here, Wednesday morning, huge move up. And Friday, even more. So you think, again, what does that think that means? Maybe some people knew. And knowledge is one part, but action is twice. Yeah. And there's option chains, but I'm not going to go there. Hey, I choose good stock indexes. You go ahead and choose those individual stocks if that's your thing. Thank you as always for spending just a little time with me. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching.